which means they are going to be pretty much guaranteed to making it into day 3 already, right? So you can kind of sit back, relax, and then, get mentally prepared for the day tomorrow.
That's a great spot to be in when you still have 2 games left in the day. You can maybe even try different comps out, try different playstyles out in those last 2 games if you think you're already guaranteed to go through, because there isn't really a massive advantage or a seeding advantage, I believe, in getting higher in the standing in this day 2. As long as you qualify, that's really the most important thing. We saw Set popping off in the last game for that early game. I believe it was it Putable? Possibly. I'm not sure who it was exactly, but Set was dominating stages 2 and 3. We see a Set right now for your favorite player, Stegzor, a Swedish player who has been doing so well in days 1 and 2, getting wins and overall, showcasing a really good level of TFT.
Yeah, for sure, right. Again, Lagoons come back. There's a tier getting dropped there right from the start. Malphite pair in the shop, right? If you're Stegzor right now, you know what's calling your name, and that is going to be those Lagoons yet again.
And it probably will not be Mirage. Electric Overload will be the trait, despite the recent buff considered one of the weaker Mirage variants all throughout this set 7.5. And for more bad luck in the terms of, the volatile traits, Namzi is a Cannoneer. So any players, any Namzi enjoyers will have to reconsider for this game, because Cannoneer Namzi is not great, but Malphite 2 is great. The Big Rock has come to try and hold the fort here for Stegzor in stage 2.
Absolutely right. So the thing that's worth noting about Electric Overload is that it is very good as a stage 2 trait when you have a Leona 2 or maybe a Yone, right? It's actually even pretty okay for Yone reroll even, right? Because it triggers when you attack. It just kind of starts falling off towards the back end of the game when everyone else starts to really elevate themselves into these super capped out boards. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of them in the early game, but right now I'd be surprised to see a bunch of them here in the late game.
Is it time?
I have the Storm already? Nah, never.
Is it time, Wida? We have the Rod and the Glove already on the bench. All you just need is 1 more Glove, 1 more Sword, and 9 Lee Sins. 1 Dream. It's a reroll.
Ends up going for true 2s instead. Baby, hello!
You ask and you shall receive. You don't believe in Eye of the Storm, but you do believe in Lagoon. And now you have a front line for the ages in Italy who doesn't really know how it ended up on this board, but will gladly, jump on board for at least a few fights until something like a Kaisa and maybe a bit more of a damage carry is found to help out the Talia.
Absolutely. Look at this, right? This is it's one of the other interesting things I was talking about in terms of min-maxing your early board. Are you going to be playing that early in Italy too, but would you rather have a Bruiser coming through instead, right, for the trade bonus? And eventually it is going to be that Olaf 1 that is going to be the pick up here.
Stegzor just did me a dirty and did not even play in Italy, despite her being a 2-star in this stage 2. That really hurts, Wida. That really hurts me inside. But there's at least an Italy on the side of Xula. She is going to be itemized as well with the BT and the bow. And despite the very strong start, I don't think Malphite can do it all by himself. Nidalee still left alive, able to sustain herself with the Bloodthirster with the shielding coming in. And then Talia as well, able to do her thing.
Yeah, but good loss, right? Again, it's worth noting here that Xula does have a battle augment, a combat augment, rather, so I should say, with that battle mage being picked up here. So that is obviously going to help him kind of streak through the early game. And again, let's look at some of these early augments here. Mugiwara and Lelouch both are going to be on the Better Together. We've already seen Mugiwara play the Seraphine composition early on. It really does like utilizing the Better Together. It was changed in this patch, David, so it no longer gives it no longer gives the Fimbulwinds, and now it does give the Locket. And so, what does that mean for the early game of the augments?
You have to position a bit differently. It's not so just, place this thing and get the value immediately. You have to obviously think about your positioning a bit more, think about, what kind of comp you're running as well. But overall, Locket, the shielding is going to be a benefit in stage 2 especially. I think it's one of those items that you slam if you're really trying to win streak, you're really trying to get that immediate board strength. And that might be the case here. You have a very strong board as well. Ezreal and Twitch. Ezreal 2, one of my favorite damage carries. And we're seeing why in this case. Big win for Mugiwara. He's been one of the players that has been, I think, surprises the most. Mugiwara and Stegzor. I think for me, at least, the 2 players that I didn't know much about going into this tournament, but now I know a whole lot about after the performances in day 1 and day 2, and I think they're both in a good position to have very strong early games.
Yeah, obviously, I know it's kind of easy for me to say, I knew everything about Stegzor going into this weekend, right? Because it's one of the players that I actively share my thoughts on the game with, right? But for me, like Mujiwara is definitely one of those names where I'm just looking like, okay, where does this guy come from? Because it's not a name I've seen on ladder really either, I believe, right? Like, just comes out of nowhere here and has put together 1.5 really good days so far. Like, honestly, chapeau to him. Like, really strong.
Quick level 5, trying to guarantee the win streak will continue all the way into Krugs. Where do you see this board going in the mid game and late game? Is it still too early to say, or do you already feel like there might be an angle for that Jade Whispers comp?
It's weird to say, right? Because like the augment here is non-directional. Like the items on the bench as well. When you have a champion duplicator open on the bench, like the 4-1 roll down always becomes super interesting to look at because there are so many options that are open when you have a duplicator. You can hold so many more random pairs and stuff like that. It can really help you spike.
I'm just seeing the champ duplicator. I'm seeing how stable you get when you're able to hit that shield U2 or Siphon 2. I'm seeing, Locket can still be very good with these units as well, and that comp in general. And we have a cloak and a glove that can definitely fit into that melee AD tree. So I think that might be the angle, and it's definitely a comp that has shown up today and yesterday as well. It's proven that on this patch it is one of the most consistent top 4 comps in the game, especially with a good start where you have the gold to roll with to upgrade those dragons.
Speaking of like good spots here, I think that Ixtal's position was here was actually really interesting. Has moved that Nidalee over to being a Volibear instead with the BT. And we've seen what Volibear can do, right? It no longer has the legend bonus, it's no longer this big, massive bear that just, overtakes the entire world, but a Volibear 2 is still a very solid stabilization point when you have the items that you're looking at right now if you are going to be Ixtal. We are going to be moving over to Lelouch, still level 4, still full streaking. Has that double aura item. Could even slam a Shroud if you really wanted to be like, okay, I'm just going to play for full tempo.
Has the econ as well with the Astrals put in. Interesting board here for Lelouch. We'll see exactly what he wants to navigate this into and how far he wants to build into this better together. Already has the Zeeks and the Locket slammed. Can slam possibly another Locket with that chain online if he finds a rod on Krugs.
Yeah, I think that when you start slamming double Locket, you're not really using the augment correctly. I think one Locket is fine because the shield does time out. Right, it's very rare that you are going to be utilizing the shield of double Locket, especially like you could much better just use make an oath instead, right? Like you'd much better just like do that on fullback, whatever. It's just so much better as an item in this later stage of the game.
I feel like one of those augments that you can't go too deep into it, or else you're going to find yourself without any real items on anyone else, on any of your main carries that need those actual items to work with. But we'll see if this will be enough here. Vlad able to sustain himself. Lux able to get that kill on the backline to Leah. And the Zac trying his best, but can't do quite enough. Stigzer will take another hit here. Lelouch able to streak now all the way into that 4 streak, almost into Krugs. Mujiwara as well, that early level 5. Both players that picked up better together are both in a spot to try and get that 5 win streak as long as they don't play each other here.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what is... It's actually kind of interesting because the change, as we were talking about, right, it actually kind of makes the augment better in the early stages of the game. Because of the power level of the Locket, right?
Because Protectors overall in the early game, I think, is not going to be as strong as Locket. It's just you're able to get the full value from Locket with the 5 units right away on stage 2, especially if you go to level 5 early, as Mujiwara did. In the end, they will not be facing each other. Mujiwara will have a chance to face off against Stagzor, who I think he should be able to defeat here, but we'll find out. There are many 2-star upgrades. The blue buff has been slammed to Leah as well. A lot of massive damage carry. The damage is mostly just tickling for the most part, looking at those Lagoon stacks instead, but still going to be casting more often, still going to get that ult off more often. And Zac going down though. The front line has been decimated on the side of Stagzor. Talia now targeted by the Ezreal, and that will be the win here for Mujiwara. Slots in his 5 win streak going into Krugs. The econ is intact, and Lelouch as well. Who would have thought, Wida, better together players with Locket are both going to win streak all the way to Krugs?
I mean, you might have been a little bit too soon on the Lelouch aspect here. Das,
never mind.
We do tune into him absolutely just losing his final fight off the stage. I mean, we don't do rewinds here. David, I'm sorry. We don't
Tactical pause? No. This is not League of Legends.
Remakes with David can be right.
Please,
for once. I mean, I guess again, Banana Bill here is a German player. We haven't really spoken too much about him either. But again, kind of part of that like strong German contingency of like players that just kind of come out of nowhere to a certain extent, right? Looking at the economy here, from my Bliss GG. Unit here at the bottom, only a 4 loss streak at 66. That is a significant amount of losses he has taken so far this game to be at that low life total.
very decent components here for Lelouch if he wants to go into, the Jade Witcher's comp we mentioned before. You can build that, possibly that Edge of Night for the Shio Yu. You can build that Titans if you're able to get a bow later on, the Hodge with a tier. You can kill off pretty much any component you're able to get now and still build decent items if you want to go into that AD tree, but now still pretty open. Just playing Astral, not committing too much into anything, and having a very healthy board, a very strong board to not lose too much HP, even if you do get a loss, but also have that econ from the Astral. So a really good spot for Lelouch here.
Yeah, makes 50 as well. I really do enjoy the fact he is going to be doing that. Slams the Bramble Vest, which I find interesting here, but again, it's just kind of to ensure that he's not going to become busy about what he wants to do with these specific components currently on his bench here. I do like that. Going up against Unit here, another strong player that has a strong history in our competitive circuit. Just in general, right? Like had a very strong showing at the Vice Lickers finals last time around.
And the prep has been picked up by Unid as well. Also in this Astral tree, the Vlad, extremely tanky for now with the Onyx Spark and the Warmogs, able to win it there for Unid. Someone that really needed that win, down to 66 HP after that stage 2. You have to find a way to stabilize in stage 3, or you might end up at Wolves with that 30 HP that really no player wants to be at in this game 4.
Absolutely true indeed here. Another thing I think we need to keep an eye out for Unid here. When you look at the components on his bench and his current setup, there is a world where he's playing Astral Reroll. I'm not sure if it's going to be that big, or if that's true or not, but there is a world where he will try to use that as a stabilization point at least. Random item for Lelouch, and it's going to be a Surratt Portal. That's actually not too bad. That's a very catch-all item, but doesn't give him any direction in terms of offensive items.
Fits right into that Talus, fits right into that kind of stalling AP comp build that you might go for when you're trying to find that Silas front line. Goes level 6 here, and we'll see exactly what Lelouch will be able to do with all these Astrals put in. The economy is guaranteed. He's still very healthy because of that stage 2, stage 3, not looking like he's spiking alongside most other players when they're going level 6. Zippy now online for Mujiwara. We talked about him maybe going into that Jade Whisper. We talked about him maybe going to the Seraphine comp, but for now, just letting the Zippy hold his BT instead.
He also has picked up the Guild Heart, right? So it is going to be a pretty solid setup here in terms of being able to do that. He's going to be on 4 kill by 5 kill by default. There's like a lot of resistances here on these backliners. So they are going to be taking a surprisingly low amount of damage here. Zippy is just going to live his best life here, as Lelouch is going to be going on to a free loss streak. Again, nothing too severe in terms of the economy as of right now, but he does have a few things on the bench he can start hitting. He did kind of get a little bit screwed on the Augment choices. He didn't really get anything he could really use. Had to reroll a silver. Always feels kind of bad when you have to like actively reroll a silver Augment.
Especially considering there's one more augment left to pick. If the game decides to, for some reason, give him some low roll augments that don't synergize with whatever direction he's chosen, he might be in big trouble, and that might be something that will bite him in the back if he was, maybe considered not rolling on the silver augment instead in that second choice. Jace already online for Raiko, though. Looks like a very, very strong board here.
I mean, speaking of, look at the board from... He's 50 gold! Well. To be fair, right, there's no guarantee there's going to be the end spot for the composition because he has slammed a TG onto a screen. That might not be ideal, but he does have a PT plus Hand of Justice. Graves is free, man. Like, and he's like, you see, he's only 40 gold. I always get a little bit screwed over with this specific board, even though you can see the empty spot on the map. But he's still in a very good spot for his position, to be honest, right? Like,
he might trying to do it all by himself. Has the healing, has the shielding, but not quite enough against the double team of Vlad and the Silas there.
Any Spatula open? I don't believe so, right?
Ooh.
Actually, yes, there is. But is just going to snatch that.
This is the most important thing. In a tournament like this one, players are scouting not just what item they need, but what item they definitely don't want other players to get. Unit maybe didn't need that Spatula, maybe he did, but either way, he does not want to give a free fawn to the British player that is now currently sitting 8th place in the standings that would have priority on that Spatula right away.
I mean, Unit is playing for a mage spot, right? So he does have an open tier, which means a singular mage pad really does help elevate your compositions most of the time. So I do believe that's just going to be the case here.
A win-win then.
Absolutely. Lelouch going for a tier here instead of any other components. So he does have a very clear end board in mind already, whether that's going to be a Blue Buff board or a Spear of Shojin board, time will tell.
Now we're understanding the possible loss streak from YLCO. It is going to be maybe the Olaf stacking early on. Blue streaking, trying to... Oh, wait, there's an Olaf 2 on the bench and on the board, Weeda.
Another one in the an Olaf 1 in the shop here, right? I expect to be picked up.
This is maybe the fastest Olaf 3 we'll ever see. I don't want to jinx it because I love Olaf and I love Olaf players, but do we see Olaf 3 before Wolves?
Yeah. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Think Fast?
Okay, Weeda. Thank you very much. Very funny. That obviously does not count. I'm talking about a natural Olaf 3, not artificial stuff, no think fast, no high roller.
But is it even natural if you're actively rolling for it, David? Like we need to like define what we do here because we can't really make rules without having clear definitions of what.
He's 20 gold. This is maybe like a few cheeky rolls here and there. You know, when you're feeling special, you know the next shop has 3 Olafs. You do a cheeky roll, but that's really it. Now he's maybe getting a few more rolls in. And we will see if he's going to be able to hit it. It would be a massive, massive power spike. Hits the Gnar instead. Kind of caught between the Skill Scorn comp and the Jade comp. Both can synergize for a bit. It was the case in last patch before Jade became what it is now with Whispers, with Siphon finding the spotlight once again. It was kind of that top 4 comp where you're able to just slam items early and go with that Olaf Shio carry instead.
Yeah, but now again, like Skill Scorn now works with dragons, right? So you don't have to make the distinction really if you feel too opposed to it. I think another thing we need to look out for here. The spat on the Olaf right now, and with the chainless on the Olaf on the bench, means that it's going to be automatically combining into a gargoyle, but that seems like a Cavalier spat. I don't know what I'm talking. Can gargoyles be Cavaliers? I feel like they're a little bit too heavy.
There's a world, a fantasy world where that might exist. You have a row already on the board as well, though, so maybe that's not going to tell. We're going to have some kind of a decent mid-game, or stage 4 rather, with that Caspat online. We saw Lelouch yesterday playing Olaf with Caspat. That was a game he got second, I believe, that lost that level 9 dragon board. So it's definitely one of the viable emblems onto the Olaf. Assassin Spat, of course, is possible, but no longer buildable. For those that found out, like me, by building a Lagoon emblem instead onto an Olaf. But in this case, now Caspat is, I think, one of maybe the second best emblem to have on the Olaf. Do you agree?
I mean, I do as well. Like, and I think that the Sin Olaf emblem feels a lot more transformative now if you do get it. Like, if you get it off an augment, right? But again, like even before when you could still make the Sin emblem, a lot of people are feeling like the gets an Olaf in a box. Oh, that's a fun. But it's going to be stuck on the Olaf, though. That's the issue.
Oh, no. Okay,
that's
Dragon,
the issue.
We can wait, Weeda, until Treasure Dragon. You just roll for an item remover, and you're good to go. The rolls are coming through. You're rolling on 7. Diana has been found and has been skipped. Going to be Braum instead. Maybe going only for 2 Skill Scorn in this case. Hasn't been able to find... I think maybe he just missed the Diana. Should have probably bought it in this case.
Again, let's pick this one up, right? So the thing doesn't... Okay, there it is. Doesn't get off in time.
It's not Wolves, but it's pretty damn close. Olaf 3 on 4-1. The soonest we've seen the upgrade come in the casted games on this tournament at the very least. And now you're free to go level 8. You're free to start building your late game comp. And you have Knife's Edge as well. Weeda, is this going to be YLCO suddenly jumping from 8th to potentially a top 4?
It's going to be hard to say, right? Because we still need to see the full effect of what this board is going to be, because the vertical Scale Scorn aspect is still going to be kind of hard to achieve. The big thing that's worth noting here, though, is that the open spat on the bench, while it could be something, it could be a Force of Nature, a Tactician's Crown Restoration, as say, or it could be like 5 Cavalier Yasuo. And that would be like the massive spiking point for this composition, right? Because getting like 5 Cavalier in is such a massive spike. This is Scale Scorn Crest as well here now, so... At least 4 Scale Scorn is going to be pretty achievable.
Mortok blessing us. Heard about my love for Scale Scorn and said, you know what?
Did we miss something?
Oh,
he read. Okay, so he wants the Force of Nature. Okay, Texas Crown, so I should say. This does mean now that we do have a Gargoyle Stoneplate on our Olaf. Again, Remover is very likely to come from the Dragon. As long as it's not Chaos Dragon, Remover is incredibly likely, I do believe. So,
and you're fine to have the Stoneplate on the Pantheon, for example. Definitely, even on a Braum, can definitely work out just to stall out for Olaf to do its thing, to get that damage going through. Our Observer has told us Olaf has 11 charges, 44 extra AD, so you've done your decent amount of homework in stages 2 and 3. Skill Scorn Emblem, Knife's Edge, Olaf 3 already, ready to go level 8. I mean, I would be very surprised if this is not a pretty much guaranteed top 4 from the spot.
Yeah, again, like, but we've seen like magical things can happen, right? Sometimes you feel like you're very strong, just like this now, where the Olaf just
Okay,
kind of went missing for a second, right?
It was a
like,
joke, guys. You didn't get it,
we
we
miss it. Yeah. Good joke.
Perfect. There we go.
Yeah, awesome, dude. But no, Raiko though, speaking of awesome, level 8, he's just chilling 50 gold. Like the Cluttered Mind, we've seen like how powerful it is as an augment. Didn't fully help, I believe it was Megaki in the previous game that we saw, right, who did have that and couldn't really fully capitalize on it, but it just gives you so much like extra economy. When you pair that with like economy trades such as the Astral, I do believe Raiko is running fully right now as well. He is going to be in such a good spot here. However, Lelouch, we're talking about he wasn't in a good spot in the early stages of the game. He is kind of on the back foot, David.
Yeah, and is in a very interesting situation. Double Zippy, double Deja, Terra on the bench, Shyvana in the shop. The Dragons are all there, but how do you really assemble this so it starts making sense? So you start winning these rounds. You found the upgrade for the Silas 2. You have the Astral still online. The Econ has gotten you to level 8 at 4-3. But how do you make this transition? Is it too little, too late? I mean, you still have 40 HP to work with. I think you definitely have the time.
He does, right? Again, he's sitting on a few pretty impactful pairs. He has a pretty catch-all item set as well. And now it's going to be the real test here for YLCO, right? Because this is the kind of board he needs to ensure it takes a lot of damage, that he has any chance of at least not going 8th here. And, well, Lelouch's board is just going to get torn apart here, so you're at least not like wheezing the lobby here. But a 9-loss streak for Lelouch. And a lot of goals like stuck on the bench here, but these pairs, and he's just leaving himself with pretty much nothing to roll with. This carousel is going to be super impactful, super important in terms of like what he actually needs to help elevate himself here.
No Spatulas open right now, but Zoe can be a good pickup with that Spat if you're going for maybe a Mage Emblem to pop it off of the Zoe instead. See, the Graves could be interesting as well if anyone is going for that Seraphine comp, a BT or half a BT already on the Graves here with the Cloak component on this unit, but everything else pretty standard. A lot of rods are open, so players that aren't going AP have to find a way to kill these rods if they are going to the AD tree with a Rage Lay potentially, maybe even a Morello. If anyone is playing the Jade Whispers combo, you can definitely slam Morello onto Jace if you're playing the Shapeshifters as the 8th unit.
We see Estefan, again, like, it is not going to be the vertical Lagoon setup, but it is going to be a Stakes House, sorry, should I say. It is going to be the regular, just the good old-fashioned Seraphines that we saw as well from Mujivar earlier on here. But now it's going to be rolling time for Lelouch. He's going to try to make a transition into his 4 Dragon setup here on the board now. With Dragon 4 kind of acting as a Tactician's Crown, it does make these boards possible on level 8 here now. Gotta get those items down here. And the board on the opposite side here does not look strong enough to take this down. But again, so many items here, lost value from something like the Locket here at the start of the game, does mean that this fight could still be winnable for the opponent here, for Mujiwara.
Zippy on either side. Zippy now targeting the Deja. Deja with the Hodge, with the Titan Resolve, able to get a little bit more tanky than she usually is when she has only those AP and the attack speed items built. And for now, it looks like it will be a win for Lelouch. Lelouch just needs time. Once he's able to get this board online, he's going to be, as you've seen all throughout today and yesterday, one of the strongest players in this lobby. But this is a very dangerous transition point where you're kind of caught in the middle between your early game board, your mid game board, and that final level 9 late game board.
Absolutely, indeed, right. And again, like the pairs that needs to hit now are quite tough to hit, right? Like Shyvana 2 on level 8 with 4% chance when you have not had a Bard in play, for example, is going to be quite hard. I think that the big thing here to note now is that he's going to be in a very strong position just overall here. Sippy's just going to be doing disruptive Sippy things. The Shyvana's going to come through here. And the most important thing as well to note, on the Dragon here, he knows exactly what he has to go for, but he's going to be facing the full streaking board here off stakes, or is this going to be strong enough?
We're going to find out very soon. Shyvana going to draw up in from behind the Zippy, also in the backline, but almost dead. Graves still very much alive with the last Whisper there, but Deja untouched in that backline for now, able to get the stacks, the extra AD coming in from the Titan Resolve as well. But the stun comes in from the Zyra. 4 units still left alive. Can Deja 1v4 here? Graves is trying to make that. Oh, it's so close, but Deja finally able to do it. Kills off the Graves. Lelouch buys, again, a little bit more time. Anima Visage comes in. Some extra tankiness on the Terra could be what Lelouch needs, but maybe he just wants, a different set of items here. Guardian Emblem was okay if you're playing Idis, but not going to be the case in this current setup.
The interesting thing about Terra, right, is that Terra as a dragon is very interesting in terms of the itemization. I've seen people itemizing them with like just pure damage that we've seen early on with like the Gunblade and the Giants there. We've seen them itemize them full tank as well. So option aplenty in terms of what you want to do here. Oh, Rocket Propel Fist.
In plat lobbies, very good. In diamond lobbies and low master lobbies, also very good. Even against, I'm gonna admit it, I've been caught off guard so many times. My carry just gets whooped right into the middle. In this lobby though, where players are scouting 24/7, not going to be as impactful, especially not in this stage of the game. Shyvana too, though.
I would kind of have to I have to kind of disagree with you there, David. Right? Because like, there's no corner hooking in the set in general. Right? That's a big thing to note here, and just having that option of just hooking a carry that, sure, like they might scout for it, but it becomes super hard because like you have to position for Cyrus, you have to position for so many things that like.
You're making me feel better, Wida, because I cannot really. I would be. I don't want to admit the amount of times where I've seen the Rocket Propel Fist. I've made a mental note that I'm not gonna get caught off guard. I'll remember when he's in my challenge players. Next thing you know, my Xayah gets hooked. I lose the game. I get an 8th place. I cry myself to sleep. So. Thankfully, now I know that it's not just me, that everyone is falling to the same bait. Not Deja though. Deja untouched in that backline. Once again, able to win another round for Lelouch, who locked the shop for the Shyvana. Did not have to sell off anything, was patient with it, despite being at 23 HP.
Yeah, like he knows how strong his board is right now, right? Like he knows that he has like everything that he needs to really help push himself into a strong finish in his lobby. Here we also see now the HP totals are kind of starting to come together towards the back end of the things here. Ixula now is kind of angling towards that 8th place here. He is under this Volibear 2 angle. He's 2 volleys off.
Look at the second augment and look at his trait tree right now.
That is not ideal. I think that is safe to say that is
standing very much not united. This is the worst synergy between Augment and Calm that I have ever seen in TFT. So at the very least, he's achieved this in this game 4. But sitting at 13 HP, I think maybe that is the reason why. Can this Volibear do it against you need one of the strongest players in the lobby, second in the HP totals? I think not. He is being ganged up on, and Ixula, unfortunately, is going to get an 8th place. And so did the Olaf 3 player. Clearly, that was a joke that he was strong. I knew he would go 7th. In this case, unfortunately for YLCO.
But it's fine, when YLCO was top of the standings, he is definitely in a position where it doesn't really matter to him what he faces, for, like where he plays for the rest of the day. Just needs like one more top 4 and he should be good to go. And again, you'd rather high roll tomorrow than you would high roll today, right? Again, making it to tomorrow is the most important part. Now that we have transitioned over to a 50% split from day 2 to day 3, making the cut for day 3 is a lot less stressful than it has been in the past.
Morgan was talking about Ao Shin not finding too much relevance in today's games. Yet, Raiko is here to change that. Fully itemized Ao Shin 1, but very close to being Ao Shin 2 with 1 on the bench. Archangels, Rageblade, and Shiv on this Ao Shin. The Bard ult comes through. Is the first cast going to be enough? I think it's not quite there just yet, but Raiko has the HP to work with. He has the time. He's already level 9. He just needs that one lucky roll to hit a massive power spike.
Absolutely, and a big fight between Mugiwara and Lelouch here. So Mugiwara does have a duplicator on the bench here, so could look for like a single final piece of the puzzle. As Lelouch now down at 8 HP. It's not exactly a big chillin', but Mugiwara could be the next guy to go out, and that would leave Lelouch in a 5th place position. As we can look at the board states here, Seraphine comp, the Aoshin board we're talking about from Unique, Raiko also with some Aoshins on the board. It seems like some COU action from Banana Bill. Like anything here that really stands out to you, David?
What stands out to me is just the fantastic overlay. Shout out to Blitz.gg, because this is so helpful for us to see the boards, the econ, the win streak, the loss streak, everything. All the information is right there for us and for the viewers at home as well to know pretty much where every player is, despite not being able to obviously, see the perspective of all 8 players at the same time. But really gets so much more information across. And Mugiwara and Lelouch, I think they're trying to hold hands all throughout the game. They were the ones win streaking in stage 2, trying to get that 5 win streak going into Krugs, and now as well, unfortunately, in the 6th and 5th positions, trying to just stay alive a little bit longer, trying to get that top 4.
They don't call it better together for nothing.
They're taking it a little bit too far.
What do you mean that was a good one, David? Okay.
No, the players are taking it too far. That was perfect, Guida. That was a really good joke. I'm not much of a laugher, but I'll try my best next time. In this case, though, hopefully Mujiwara is able to stay alive for our sake, for Morgan's sake as well. The Egyptian player doing so well in this tournament, but he's up against Raiko, he's up against Aoshin, and unfortunately the caster curse comes through. Mujiwara will lock in a 6th place, but this is, of course, the winner's lobby. The other players are currently top 8 in the standings, so it's not the end of the world. Mujiwara still has a chance to make up those points in the next 2 games.
Absolutely, and Lelouch now, he's still strong enough, and we kind of did expect it, right? Like, we kind of are talking about the same thing over and over again, but all it takes is like one bit of poor fight RNG going against Lelouch, and then he's down and out, right? Because we've seen that like these fights for him are always down to just a single dragon surviving pretty much. It's pretty much always his Dacia just having to put in the final shift here. And now with the damage item here being moved over to the Assault, that was not the case in the fight for Unit prior to this one currently.
Unit taking us back to the first patch of set 7. Asol, Mage Spat, Silas and Vlad in the front line. You love to see it. Some PTSD for some of our players for sure. Aoshin against Asol. The fight of the 5-cost AP dragons will be in the side of Asol for now, but Raiko still has a chance to get the upgrade on that Aoshin, still has a chance to power spike. And Banana Bill is going to be out, Lelouch as well. Everyone falling now almost at this point in stage 6. Only 3 players left alive.
And again, we were talking about this, right? We've seen Lelouch's tournament pedigree by his strong performances in the Rising Legends finals last time around, where he did finish in the top 8, did not make it to the last chance qualifier, did not make it to Worlds, but was in that final lobby where it all was decided, right? We know how good he can be in tournament situations. And this game is kind of a good example of how, like, the things that I've been talking about, right? Where players are very, like, they need to figure out like how to get themselves out of rough positions, right? Because a different player would probably have fumbled the spot Lelouch was in, and probably wouldn't have gone top 4 here.
I was surprised to see him become so stable with just that the board he currently had, no goal to work with, and still was able, as you mentioned, to eke out a top 4. Is a great spot to be in, especially for these players that were already in a fantastic spot in terms of the standings. Almost now guaranteed to make it to day 3 as long as you don't int too much in the next 2 games, get 2 aces in a row, for example. I hope that wasn't a caster curse. We're looking now at this board. I think if there it is. If Raiko hits the Aoshin 2, he might become the strongest player. That was the case. Raiko finally finds that upgrade. Rocket Propelled Fist, hoping to track something away. Oh no! It's gonna be the Asol. Someone fell for it. It's not only me. The Asol gets deleted instantly there.
And that is what I was talking about, right? Like, sure, I know, like there was like multiple people in the lobby that has these, and they have them in different positions all the time. This is kind of why, like, when they come from Chaos Dragon, they're a lot harder to play around because you're costing your entire gameplay pattern off the game to not really involve it. When it comes off with an augment like Portable Forge, you're much more aware of where it's coming from, who to look out for. But when you're combining it with the Zephyr, and again, Unit has to position for Exiles. It is Exiles 1, so it could give up the value, but having to deal with Zephyr plus Blitzhook as a combination is just so hard. Seraphine free as well on top. This board is just crazy right now. And again, look at what he's doing. There's something Stakeshore loves to do. Just keep his on the bench and just do everything last second.
We talked about the Seraphine comp not finding too much spotlight in day 1. Day 2, we saw it in game 1. We're seeing it now once again in game 4. And Stakeshore's able to pilot this all the way to a win streak now, even if he is facing against 2 Dragon boards that we're seeing here. Aoshin versus Asol once again. Now Raiko finds the upgrade on the Aoshin. Will it be enough to win the fight? It looks like it might be the case. Asol has been taken down. It's only going to be Silas with a lot of health. That is true. Sunfire as well. Warmogs here too, but Aoshin casting again and again and again. And Yasuo helping out with the execute means it's going to be a big, big win for Raiko. You need now down to 3 HP. And Stegzor finally does get the loss there. Ends the win streak.
Yeah, absolutely right. But again, this board from Raiko is just, again, the epitome of these like 3 or 4 Dragon boards. This isn't only a 2 Dragon board, but this is like your classic, just, you know, tier 5 unit board, what we like to call the legendary unit board, right? Has the cybernetic uplink as well for something like the Yasuo, just to continue to gain the mana. The Asol with a lot of attack speed, plus the uplink as well, will always be casting into fights. You have the Bard just, you know, locking everything into place. This board is just incredibly strong.
The Banshee's Claw as well to give that Aoshin a little bit of extra survivability. The Cybernetic Uplink to give that extra mana, which is why we're seeing Aoshin cast so quickly despite the Shojin. This time, the Aoshin, the dragon, stays on that backline, able to deal that damage uncontested. Yasuo getting into the fray of things, but I think Aoshin, as long as he's able to cast 1 or 2 times, it's really hard to win fights against this dragon, especially when he's upgraded to 2-star, and I think that will be the case as well. Raiko feeling comfortable, confident, and very powerful now at this stage of the game. We're in stage 6, the dragons have come online, and they're this powerful for a reason. So much damage coming out from this Aoshin.
Yeah, and Unit 1 here as well, right? So this carousel could be game-changing as well. Stakestar is sitting on a lot of gold right now that he needs to figure out what he needs to deal with. He has the Seraphine free, so I expect it to be a level 9 coming in somewhat soon for the Swedish player here. Meanwhile, Raiko and Unit, they have kind of put themselves into place. They know what they're doing. They know what their boards can do. Have pretty linear upgrades to work with. Cannot really do a whole lot to make their board stronger. I do believe, right, as we are going to be moving over to Unit's board. That's going to be a board 2. I mean, is he even approaching something like a Zoe free angle? Like he's holding 2 Zoes on the bench. It's kind of wild. Something you can do. If you have
approaching is a bit far-fetched. 5 out of 9 copies. You're not going to have maybe enough time to actually make it there. If he was a little bit closer, maybe you start selling things off, trying to get that win condition. If you think everything else is doomed and you're maybe guaranteed a 3rd otherwise. Zeri 3 comes in. Did get a buff recently, so maybe going to be a little bit more impactful than viewers would think usually. But in this case, do you think it's going to be impactful enough to change the outcome against these fights, Wida?
It's going to be hard to say here, right? Again, the hook now is becoming less impactful as players are positioning more around it. The fully item here coming through from stakes, it could be getting. It's going to be a death cap. Not necessarily fantastic. Could be a little bit of extra oomph for this Zeri right now. But again, like his board is slowly but surely starting to fall off, right? The Graves without any healing item or like another damage item is not going to be doing enough here. He's really relying on Unit to take out Raiko, but Raiko to take out Unit, rather, so I should say. But it seems like it's the other way around right now. Graves free is going to be the next big spike he's looking for, but it's not guaranteed.
Was it the play to not chase for the Zeri, to sell those Zeris instead, to try and go for that Graves 3 maybe as the only way to try and win out against either of these dragon-centric boards? Maybe the case. It's hard to really tell at this point. You don't find the upgrade. You don't feel like you're strong enough. You've fallen off a cliff now going to stage 6 where these other 2 players are able to hit their much higher caps with Aoshin and Acel as carries. And I don't think much will change in this next fight. I think it might be it. We're going to see every player now in the range that can be a final fight here for all these players under 15 HP. Once again, Aoshin versus the Acel. The Aoshin being targeted, but now it's going to be the cast coming in from Aoshin. Not able to kill off much of anything, but that's going to be the Acel getting the win there instead. Raiko taken down, minus 2 HP for him. Stegzor is trying to stay alive, and he will for now. Gonna be a close one, Wida. One more fight left.
Stakes are winning on a ghost board. That's going to be a massive thing for him as well here. And we'll get a little bit of extra gold to roll with as well, with them entering into the little Shelly round here. We can see on the bench right now, Unit holding a couple of Graves. Again, he does not need to give Stakesor any chance to hit that Graves, right? We saw this in competition, but we've seen this a lot. Right, we saw it in the Super Brawl final. Didn't really end up working out for Volta, but it did the right thing. This is 100% the correct play from Unit right now, because that is what is going to fully help him guarantee this win. I think that Unit's board is the strongest regardless, but that Graves free spike could change everything.
If my math is correct, there is only 1 more Graves in the pool. Unit was hunting for it, trying to guarantee there wouldn't be a chance to actually get the upgrade for Stegzor, but looks like neither player has been able to find it. Stegzor is hunting, selling off his board, trying to find it. Hasn't found it just yet. I think he knows this might be his only chance to win this next fight.
Yeah, with the Graves 2 on the bench here for Unit, right, you are correct. There should only be 1 more left in the pool. So
Zephyr's big. Zephyr's able to hit the Acel. Possibly it's going to slow down the damage enough.
Hook doesn't land in time.
Is it going to change anything? I'm not too sure. The clump isn't too big for Acel to really benefit too much. The fight has been now spread out across the entirety of this board. The damage is just so much from the Acel and really not enough coming in from Graves. But Acel does finally go down. Still The Lux is left alive as a secondary carry. Bard is there as well. And it's only Zeri, despite the buffs, I don't think she has what it takes to win this out. Stakes are taken down. You need one of the classic top French players able to win it out here in game 4. Pretty much guarantee he makes it to day 3 as well. Great result from him and a great game. Weeda able to see both Aoshin and Acel shine, and also the Seraphine comp, despite the nerfs, still has a spot in the meta.